You give a great talk. The audience applauds at the end. A few people tell you how much they enjoyed it. And then nothing. No inquiries, no follow-up bookings. 6 months later, the organizer hires someone else. Your talk worked, but your speaking career didn't move forward. And if that keeps happening long enough, something worse happens. Your fees stall. Your positioning stays invisible. And organizers forget about you the moment the event ends. The difference between that experience and predictable bookings with higher keynote fees usually comes down to one thing. Most speakers build applause. The speakers who build real careers build demand. Over the last 15 years, I've coached hundreds of speakers and hosted many conversations with professional speakers on my podcast. And I've seen what happens when that shift occurs. Speakers go from unpaid talks to landing their first $10,000 keynote, from small local events to sharing stages with recognized conference speakers, often without changing their expertise at all. The difference isn't talent, it's how the market understands their value. Now, this is what I call the applause trap, when speakers measure their success by audience reaction instead of market response. Applause feels like progress, but it can quietly hide a stalled speaking career. Because audiences are generous usually. They clap for good stories, they clap for energy, they clap because they enjoyed the experience. Maybe they clap because they got to get out of doing some work for a little while, but the speaking market rewards something different. It rewards clarity of value. Without that clarity, some speakers spend 10 years or more giving great talks while their fees stay stuck and their reputation never grows. Most speakers believe that their career works like this. You speak well, you get more gigs. But the speaking market doesn't reward performance. Performance gets applause, authority gets contracts. Now, once you understand how the speaking market actually works, you realize something slightly surprising. Great speakers often struggle. Average speakers sometimes thrive and rise to the top. Why? Because the speaking market runs on a different engine. This flywheel explains how the speaking market works. First, you need to become known. Someone sees your idea. You appear on a popular podcast. A clip of your talk gets shared. Visibility begins. But visibility alone doesn't create a speaking career. Visibility without positioning is just noise. Next comes booked. You land stages where decision makers are in the room. The organizer introduces you to another event. Someone recommends you to a conference. Then comes paid. Now the flywheel accelerates. You're hired for a keynote, you're on the stage, and invitations start arriving without needing to pitch. And the speaking market rewards clarity, not talent. A speaker I worked with called Lance was stuck exactly there. He had a good reputation. He was being invited to speak in various places. Audiences liked him. But most opportunities he was offered were unpaid or very low fee. His speaking looked successful, but financially it wasn't going anywhere. The issue wasn't delivery, it was positioning. His expertise sat between two directions. One of them was meaningful work that he was passionate about and loved doing but didn't pay much. The other had clear commercial demand but not such a high level of passion and calling. But once we repositioned his message around that demand, the invitations started turning into paid corporate keynotes instead of free talks. And soon, those keynote invitations began leading to repeat bookings from organizations who saw the value of the message, allowing Lance to also do some of his other talks for free without having to be concerned. So the same expertise, different positioning, different market response. Another speaker I worked with, Antoinette, had a different frustration. She had years of experience as a corporate trainer. People respected her knowledge, but when she stepped onto the keynote stage, she was still stuck in trainer mode. Too much teaching, too much content, too many slides. Audience respected the talk and the content, but they didn't remember. Respected, but not remarkable. So we rebuilt the keynote. Less teaching, more message, more authority. Once that shift happened, everything changed. And not long afterwards, she was sharing the stage with Phil M. Jones. And after her talk, Phil came and congratulated her. That's a point where many speakers would realize the transition has happened. You're no longer delivering training, you're operating as a keynote speaker. One speaker I worked with had spent years giving unpaid talks, and after repositioning her expertise, landed her first $10,000 keynote booking. Same expertise, different positioning. And when the positioning clicks, something interesting happens. Conference organizers start referring you to other events. Bureaus start returning your calls, and repeat bookings begin appearing. And that's the flywheel in action. Now, these speakers were already good on stage. They didn't need to become more charismatic or tell better stories. They needed the market to understand their value. Without that shift, speakers can spend years giving great talks while their career stays exactly where it is. Same stages, same fees, same uncertainty about where the next booking will come from. Now, if you're already speaking, but your bookings feel unpredictable, or your expertise isn't translating into higher keynote fees, then the next step is fairly simple. Book a speaker strategy call. We'll look at where you currently sit in the known to book to paid flywheel, what's slowing your momentum, and what strategic shifts could unlock the next stage of your speaking career. Now, I do sometimes work with brand new speakers, but this program really is for speakers who are already on stage and want their speaking to become a real business. I only open a small number of these calls each week because many turn into deeper advisory work with speakers building serious careers. So if that sounds like you, click the link below and choose a time.